Good morning, students. So today I am going to discuss about the topic that is select statement, the column aliases and ordering of data. Now let's start with column aliases in tables. Now before I start with column aliases, you should know in simple English what does an alias mean. In English, an alias can be another name for a person. Now say for example, there exists a person by the name John. So John denotes the real name of the person. Now if this same person John also has a secondary name by the name David, then David will become the alias name for this person named John. So we can put it like this: John alias David or John aka David. This means the person bearing the name John is also known by the name David. That's why David here becomes the alias name of the person named John. Now this same concept of alias can be used in an SQL table. Now I shall be explaining column alias with the help of this particular table named student. This particular table has three columns: SID, SNAME and SCT. And this table has 5 records. Now look at this question. It says write a query to display all the records of students using column alias. Now let me give the alias name for the column SID as ID. Let me give the alias name for the column SNAME as name, and let me give the alias name for the column SCT as city. Now for this I have to write a select statement like this. You start with select and then put SID as ID. Here ID becomes the alias name for the column SID. Then put comma SNAME as name. Here name becomes the alias name for the column SNAME. Then comma SCT as city. In this case city becomes the alias name for the column SCT. Now since I am going to display these column elements from this table student, so I am going to write from student followed by semicolon. And once this SQL query gets executed, you can see this table student getting displayed out here in this output, but with their column names SID, SNAME and SCT changing into ID, name and city. Now you can sort a particular column in a table using this order by clause. Sorting of column in a table can be done using ascending order as well as descending order. Sorting in ascending order means arranging from the first to last, whereas sorting in the descending order means arranging from last to first. Now if we consider the alphabetical series from A to Z, and if we are to sort that alphabetical series in ascending order, then it will be arranged from A to Z. The letter A will be coming first, followed by B, then C and so on, and it ends at Z. And if I am going to arrange that alphabetical series in descending order, then the letter Z is going to appear first, followed by the letter Y and then the letter X, and at the end the letter A is going to be displayed. So it will be in the sequence Z, Y, X, ... and it ends at A. As a result, in ascending order the alphabetical series is arranged from A to Z, whereas in descending order the alphabetical series is arranged from Z to A. Now for arranging it in ascending order, I have to make use of this ASC keyword in conjunction with the order by clause. And if I want to arrange it in descending order, then I have to make use of this DESC keyword in conjunction with this order by clause. Another thing to be noted is that the order by clause can be used not only with one column, it can be used with more than one columns as well. And this point says the default sorting order of order by clause is ascending. That means if you do not put this ASC keyword in conjunction with this order by clause, then by default the sorting order will be still treated as ascending. Now I'm going to show this to you practically with the help of an example in the next slide. Now look at this table. The name of this table is student. This particular table student has three columns, namely SID, SNAME and SCT, and these are the 5 records that is stored inside this table student. Now look at this question. It says write a query to display the name of the students in ascending order. Now if we look at this table, the name of the students is represented by this column, that is SNAME. That's why I'm going to select only SNAME from this table student. So I'm going to write the first part of the query as select SNAME from the table student. In the next part of the question, they are asking us to display the name of the students in ascending order. So for this, I have to make use of this order by clause and then provide the column SNAME, because it is this particular column in this table student which represents the name of the students. The query shall end with a semicolon, and once this SQL query gets executed, I get to see the column name SNAME getting displayed exactly as it is in the output table, but with all its entries in ascending order. Now if we are to arrange these entries in ascending order, the first entry will be the entry starting with the letter A. Now there are 3 entries starting with the letter A. First one is Arpita, second one is Astik, and the third one is Anumita. So which entry out of Arpita, Astik and Anumita is going to appear first in the output table? Let's find it out. If we see the entry Arpita, its first letter is A. Again, if we see the entry Astik, its first letter is also A. And again, if you see the entry Anumita, its first letter is also A. So we can never figure it out like this, which entry is going to appear first in the output table, because all these 3 entries Arpita, Astik and Anumita has its first letter as A. So we have to take a different approach now. Now let's look at the second letter for the entry Arpita. The second letter is R. Then the second letter for the entry Astik is A. And then the second letter for the entry Anumita is N. Obviously the entry Astik has the second letter as A, and that's the reason it's going to appear in the output table first, because A comes before R and N in the alphabetical series. Now once Astik gets displayed in the output table, we are left with Arpita and Anumita. Now the second letter of Anumita is N, which comes before the second letter in Arpita, which is R, and that's the reason Anumita gets displayed in the output table as the second entry. So just after Astik and Anumita, we will have Arpita as the third entry in the output table. Then we are left with 2 records, Tushar and Hansika. So if we look here now, the student Hansika has the first letter H and the student Tushar has the first letter T. Obviously, in the alphabetical series, H comes before T. Okay, H comes before T. So now Hansika is going to be displayed in the output table as the fourth entry, followed by Tushar at the end. And this lists all the entries of the column S name in ascending order of alphabetical series. Now if you look at this third point, it says default sorting order of order by clause is ascending. That means the use of ASC keyword is optional if you are going to sort it in ascending order. That's why in this query I haven't put the ASC keyword at the end. But if you want to put it, you can do so by keeping it at the end like this. So if you look at this query, this is exactly the same as this one, excluding the keyword ASC. And if you see the output, this is exactly the same as this one, including the keyword ASC. Here is this output. This looks exactly the same as the previous one. So we can conclude from here that the keyword ASC is optional if we are going to sort the column elements in ascending order like this. Even if you do not put this ASC keyword, it's still going to show you the same output. Now look at this question. It says write a query to display the name and city of all students in ascending order of name. So at first they're asking us to display the name, which is represented by the column S name, and then it is asking us to display the city of the students, that is represented by the column S city. So now I shall write the select statement as select S name, S city from the table student. Now the second part of the question says I have to display it in the ascending order of name. As name is represented by the column S name, so I am going to put order by S name. And then I am putting this keyword ASC. But even if I do not put this keyword ASC, still it will do, because it is optional. Let me just keep it now. If I am selecting S name and S city, I am showing these two columns in this output table. Sorting in ascending order of name sorts this column called S name in ascending order. So the record pertaining to the student Astik is going to appear first, and since he belongs to the city Durgapur, Astik Durgapur becomes the first entry in the output table. Then the second name to come will be Anumita, and she belongs to the city Bhopal. That's why you can see Anumita Bhopal as the second entry in the output table. And then the third to come in the name list shall be Arpita, and since he belongs to Bangalore, you get to see Arpita and Bangalore as the third entry in the output table. The next to come in the list will be Hansika. She belongs to the city Cochin, so the fourth entry becomes Hansika Cochin in the output table. Now the last one is Tushar, and he belongs to the city Aurangabad, so you get to see the last entry in the output table as Tushar Aurangabad. Now if you see here, all these names are arranged in alphabetical order in ascending series, where Astik appears first, followed by Anumita, then Arpita, then Hansika, and finally Tushar. Now look at this question. It says write a query to display the name and city of all students in descending order of name. Now this time the question is asking us to display the name and city of all the students, but not in ascending order, in the descending order of name. So for name and city, I am selecting these two columns, that is sname and scity, and I write the query as select sname, scity from the table student. And in the next part of the question, for sorting it in descending order of name, I have to make use of this order by clause and then the column name sname. But keep in mind one thing, that since here I am going to sort it not in ascending order but in descending order, that's why the use of this DESC keyword is compulsory. So you got it? This is not like sorting in ascending order. If I have to sort it in ascending order, the use of this ASC keyword is not compulsory. This is optional. If you want to keep it, you can keep it, or if you want to omit it, you can omit it. But for sorting it in descending order, the keyword DESC is not optional. This is compulsory. You simply cannot omit this keyword. Now once I execute this SQL statement, I get to see these two columns, that is sname and scity, in this output table, where the column sname is going to be arranged in descending order as asked for in this question. Here name represents the column sname. So if it is to be sorted in descending order, then the entry Tushar is going to come first in the output table. Since it belongs to the city Aurangabad, so we have the first entry as Tushar Aurangabad. Okay. Then the next to come in the list will be Hansika. Since she belongs to the city Cochin, the next entry to be displayed in the output table will be Hansika Cochin. Then we have Arpita to be displayed third. Since she belongs to the city Bangalore, the third entry in the output table is Arpita Bangalore. Then next to come in the list will be Anumita. Since she belongs to the city Bhopal, you can see Anumita Bhopal as the fourth entry in the output table. And last in the list will be Astik. Since Astik belongs to the city Durgapur, so the last entry in the output table will be Astik Durgapur. Now if you look at this output table, all these student names are arranged from Z to A, and this is the descending order of alphabetical series. So that's the end of this first presentation.